Welcome back. And if you missed that first segment, boy, let me tell you, you want to go back and listen to it. Alana gave us a lot of great information and statistics on research that I just find fascinating when you start to think about how people are getting jobs and what's happening in the market. But I'd love to continue that conversation, once you're getting that resume and you're moving forward. What's the next step in your process?
So I break the application process into three phases, and phase two is really that next step where we're talking about networking.
Mhm.
We were just talking about that before the break, where networking is such a key component to helping you ultimately land a job. And there are people who are shy with networking or introverted and really uncomfortable with the concept of networking. So one of the things we talk about is how do you network in a way that doesn't feel icky? There's a lot of opportunity out there. For example, if you reach out to people that you are friends with that you haven't talked to in a long time, you are suddenly networking. And it doesn't have to be, hi, Jane, we haven't talked in a while. Do you have a job? No, 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 no. It's about relationships. It's Jane, how are you? How's your family? What has been going on? I heard you moved, et cetera, et cetera. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in my life. And then it goes from there. So the first step in networking is really just reconnecting with people that you have a relationship with already.
I
This
love what you just said about reconnecting because you can say I'm networking, but there's a connection versus a relationship. I love that.
100%. The idea of networking where you're reaching out to somebody who's at a high level of a company who's a complete stranger is
Mhm.
absolutely doable, but I think it's daunting for a lot of people. It's really easy to work your way up to it by reaching out to people that you already have a rapport with, that you have a relationship with. And then there's that in between piece where you can reach out to somebody that your connection knows. So at the end of any conversation you have with a current friend, a new friend, you can always end it with, so great catching up with you. Can you think of anybody else that would be helpful for me to talk to as I'm looking for this company, opportunity, industry, or what have you?
Great advice. Great advice. And I think that's so pertinent today, especially as we have so many people looking. Because I always tell people when, to your point, when they get hundreds of resumes, if you have five people in a company, go to the hiring manager and mention your name, that brand is something they're gonna be like, wait a minute, I've heard this name 5 times. I gotta talk to this person. The power in your brand, which is your name, is so important that you want it to be mentioned over and over and over again. So it's like, I found my candidate for the job. You got to talk to this person, in terms of what happened. And because there is so much competition that's out there as you continue to move forward. One of the other things I tell people is to go to organization events. That are within your industry. So you can talk to someone. It's like I don't have to find something common to talk about. We're talking about the industry. We're talking about the function. We have something in common. So it's not so much that I'm feeling as though, I'm intimidated, as I do it. And
Absolutely.
I used to tell some of my mentees, when you go to an event, you look at the attendee list and you put your name tag on, stand next to the table, find out who's come, whose name is on there and going to be there and say, I'm going to target these people that I want to talk to so that you're very intentional about that. Great advice. Great advice. Now, I know that you also do things holistically. It's not just about the resume, it's not just about getting what you want out of the job, but who you are as a person and actually talking about how do I find that fulfillment. I'd love to discuss that further. Would you love to share? I'd love for you to share it with the audience.
Oh, wow. So it's really important to me that the collective you, when you're looking for a job, you're figuring out what does success mean to you. We as individuals have our own definition of success. And for so long, so many of us very often look externally for measurements of success. So I know, for example, in my own career, I always was looking for success through the standard metrics of climbing a corporate ladder
Mhm.
until I got to a point where I had a lot going on in my life outside of work that required my attention. I'm a single mom and my kids needed me. So I had to kind of pivot how I defined success in order for me to be aligned, in order for me to find what I was looking for. And I do find a lot of times my clients they know internally really what success means to them, but they need someone to help them be okay with it because it's not always what they're told success is supposed to be. So, yes, that is part of like the holistic component of how I work with people is understanding and helping them understand what do you need to do to feel aligned, and that alignment is ultimately going to be your success as you define it. You get to define what is success.
And that's the powerful word. You get to define what success is. It's not someone else's definition. Success comes from within. And I think that is so powerful, as you're talking about, we all have to be comfortable with what we're doing. And we need to define what's important to us for us because it's our life after all, right? We're living our dash of our why. Nobody else is living it, right? So I that's extremely important. And I appreciate, that insight. But in your explanation of even what you do within your business, I know it's broader than that. I'd love to understand some of the other aspects that you can share with the audience of what you're doing within your organizations with individuals.
One of the things that I like to focus on is communication
Okay.
skills. It comes through when you're interviewing, it comes through when you're networking, specifically on the job search side. However, it's really helpful within an organization when somebody needs help on presentation skills. It's really helpful in communicating if maybe English isn't your first language. It's really helpful with if you have a seat at the table, opening your mouth and speaking up and being okay with that. That confidence, that's something that I work on with my clients as well. So it can be daunting for people. And I think when we holistically look at our strengths, we look at our accomplishments, we look at our success stories, we can turn it into something that helps us present that outward.
Mhm.
And that becomes useful across work, life, it really across everything.
So, do you have a few tips you would love to share with the audience that they can do to actually have a seat at the table, be comfortable at the table, and have that confidence? Because so many people suffer from that.
Yeah, that's the imposter syndrome to the max. We all have it. We all have it. And if you talk to any really, really famous celebrity, they will talk about times where they've felt the imposter syndrome too. So we all have it. But one of the things I like to encourage people to do is to reflect back at something you've succeeded at. Two things, something you've succeeded at. So you can remind yourself of like, hey, I can do this, whatever this is. And then another thing is to give yourself ways to have small wins to reinforce that feeling of accomplishment because you have done things, you have done difficult things, you've accomplished things, you've achieved things, you've been successful. Bring that energy with you and you will sail.
I'd love to get your perspective on something. One of the things that I truly believe after doing a lot of research about the human brain and what we can take in and those things is that if we set unrealistic goals, our brain doesn't know how to handle negativity over and over again, which causes some of the emotional challenges that we go through. But if we can set realistic goals that we can achieve, the brain likes to celebrate. It's like on the internal, I want to celebrate success. I want to celebrate that I've done this. I want to celebrate I've done that. Have you found that to be the case as well?
100%, 100% to celebrate your wins every single day. I like to do it before I go to bed to think of like, what great thing happened today? And it puts in my brain this idea of like, hey, you've done great things have happened. And it reinforces it again and again. You can wake up the next day and be like, I had a great day yesterday. Today is going to be great too. That's on a subconscious level. And on a more conscious level, yeah, it's that idea of writing down something successful that you've done. And it can be small. It can be like, I didn't spill my coffee when I had my drink this morning. Yay! Write it down and look at that. I have check something successful that I've done today. It is absolutely something that reinforces that feeling in your brain, that reminder that you are a success. You are a success. We all are. You just have to believe it and remind yourself of it.
I love that. And I love the fact that I'm going to start, as I start thinking about every night, I don't do it on a daily basis of what was my success. But a lot of times, at the end of the week, I'll say, well, what did I accomplish this week? What did I get done? But I like the daily because those little small things. So I know when I go to bed tonight, the one that I'm going to say my success was having a wonderful conversation with you. But it is, and sharing it with the audience, right? Those that want to listen and want to learn and grow and develop, as this show is all about that, right? Is really helping on the leadership level and helping individuals as they're growing and developing. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I cannot tell you, Elanna, how happy I am that you were able to come on the show, share your expertise. If the audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, you could just simply send me an email at info@6scompass.com. The number 6, letter S, compass.com. And I hope
All right.
I've enjoyed this very much, Vicki. Thanks so much for having me on.
It was my pleasure, and my audience is blessed by that. So you all now know how to reach her. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Ignite. I know that we got 2 or 3 points of nuggets that you definitely can begin using today. You don't have to wait. As we say, this is the place where we light the fire and it keeps on burning. Let's go until we meet the next time. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Ignite.